It's about damn time. Well, it's finally time to delve deep into the 8th installment of Dynasty Warriors, which is Dynasty Warriors 8 and 8 Xtreme Legends Complete. Now, let me explain myself. Why am I doing both? Real simple. Koei, in its infinite wisdom, thought it was a good idea, a really good idea, to put an HDCP on the sound of the PlayStation 4 versions of the game. And it's not just this game, it's also Dynasty Warriors 8 Empires, it's also Samurai Warriors 4 Empires, and good luck trying to record Sons of Sanada on the PS4, because guess what, the HDCP makes it to where you can't even record it at all. But enough about that. I just want to make it perfectly clear it was a daunting task to record from 2 different consoles, and more importantly, beat the game on multiple occasions on 2 different consoles. But still, it is one of the best games in the series, and also one of, if not the hardest game in the series. And there's a good reason why. Difficulty actually matters again. Now, seeing as how I'm taking on 2 different versions of this game, some of them sharing the same problems with each other, I just want to show you, as thorough as I can, the ins and outs of this game before you bought it, or more importantly, the ins and outs of this game if you plan on getting it for any other versions like Steam or the Switch. And more importantly, if this game is in fact the best game in the series that wiped the stench of Dynasty Warriors 6 Special from existence, or that it brought its own brand of bullshit into the Dynasty Warriors series. One thing is for sure, by the end of this review, you'll know my answer. And one thing's for sure, the main reason why that I took so long, that guy's Musou that just showed up on screen right there. So, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, strap yourselves in. This one's gonna be a doozy, as I take on 2 of the same game at the same time from 2 different consoles in Dynasty Warriors 8 Xtreme Legends Complete. If I was to tell you that the main reason why I didn't get this review finished back in 2018 was because of the fact of the monotonous grinding, you probably think I'd be crazy. But no, that is pretty much the gist of Dynasty Warriors 8. While yes, it's the hardest game in the series and difficulty is back and so is levels, guess what? You're going to be grinding, not only to meet those levels, but also to grind to help the rubber band effect of all the officers that you're not using to actually meet those levels or try to surpass them. Not only that, you'll be grinding to get titles, so that way you'll be able to equip them and make your character stronger or gain experience more. You'll be grinding in order for you to not only get your movesets completed, but also grinding to get at least 3 bars of Musou. You will be grinding in order for to pick up weapons, preferably weapons with Cyclone or Slash, but you'll at least be picking up 3-star or higher weapons through grinding, either purposely or inadvertently. But if anything, the real culprit of the grinding is here in ambition mode, where you're going to be grinding in order for you to sell off your weapons at the blacksmith. You'll be grinding in order to buy horses at the stables. You'll be grinding in order to buy stuff from the merchant. You'll be grinding in order to feed the horses. You'll be grinding in order to actually go to the barracks to have troops go off to collect things and bring them back to you randomly. You will be grinding to get more gold from the farmer. You will be grinding for gems. You will be doing nothing but monotonous grinding, primarily to increase the Tong Shui Tai of ambition mode, just so that you will be able to have an easier time in Dynasty Warriors 8 Xtreme Legends, and not to mention Dynasty Warriors 8. Oh, but it gets worse too. You'll be grinding for the star requirements as well. And as you can wholeheartedly see, you'll get shortcuts by leveling up characters. Well, according to the amount of gold you have, you'll have shortcuts to try to get some more weapon materials and stuff like that. But at the exact same time, you're going to have to go out in the field and grind those weapon materials. So that way you'll be able to make weapon fusions and reforges. You'll have to grind the building materials. So that way you'll be able to upgrade all those buildings like I showed you earlier. This right here is going to be your home away from the story mode. And that is probably one of the reasons why it took me so long, because, by the way, I did this on 2 consoles, because Koei, in its infinite wisdom, well, lack thereof, did an HDCP, sorry about that, I got that mixed up, but anyway, it's a hard disk copyright protection that mutes the sound on the disc, which is why, when I record for the PS4, it's silent as hell. I'm not even going to attempt the Steam. They have it to where the Steam version is completely and utterly devoid. Even though I have a very good computer, it has stability problems, even in the newest update. Oh, but that's not all about the grinding. I mean, I've veered off topic here, but the grinding is also to not only collect a bunch of officers in order for to meet the increased requirements for all these facilities, but most importantly, to gather up all these officers, befriend them one by one, or raise their level up to level 50, though that way you won't have to worry about unlocking all of their voice clips in the gallery. Primarily, it is grinding to mitigate the grinding, and it is monotonous on 2 consoles. Bear in mind that chaos isn't the end-all be-all like it is in Dynasty Warriors 8 for the Xbox 360 and PS3. No. Ultimate is the new difficulty for Dynasty Warriors 8 Xtreme Legends Complete. And let me assure you, all the grinding you do is not good enough unless you've got pretty powerful titles to help you survive the BS that Ultimate throws your way. And even as you feed your horses or feed tigers or things of that nature, it does not matter, because at the end of the day, you're practically going to be grinding to get by far one of the best horses in the game, Lu Bu's horse, Red Hair, and that's only achievable by going through 30 wins in ambition mode. So as I said before, you are going to be stuck here for quite some time before you even go on to the main story. Never mind the star requirements in the main story. And one in particular that I like to point out, which happens to be the star requirement for Wei's very first mission. I'm pretty sure you all know the one. But the one thing that truly himps the grinding so bad is the fact that the maximum level of everybody is 150. That's the Skya levels of bullshit! Hey, remember that voice actor strike I mentioned in Dynasty Warriors 9? It started in Dynasty Warriors 8. Don't believe me? Take a listen to this.
Master Li Dian, Master Yue Jin.
Every victory serves to make me that much stronger.
That's right, folks. 8 Xtreme Legends now has the honor of having wrong-sounding Zhang Liao, who, by the way, shares the same voice actor as Liu Bei, because for some idiotic reason, Koei could not pay the original voice actor for Zhang Liao to finish his services in Dynasty Warriors 8 Xtreme Legends Complete. So you'll have 2 different types of voice acting for Zhang Liao, with his voice acting clips from the original and his new voice actor taking over the gallery, as well as everything in Lu Bu's campaign. And this pretty much was the precursor to them ending up getting Fox, because they're cheap asses for no damn reason. Remember how there were voiced intros in most of the Dynasty Warriors games, specifically 7, where 7 had the best voice acting, and 8 was hailed to have the best voice acting as well? But here's the problem, it's absent in the intros. Except for maybe one, and that is the Battle of Fawn Castle. That is the only area that has a voice intro for some strange and baffling reason. You might as well make the game not have voice intros, or make them have voice intros. You can't have both. But to me, this feels like this was either intentional or a rush job to try to get everything done. But having no voice intros, that's just really absurd, especially since 7 showed that the cast of Omega Force really could do their jobs. And you want to know what else doesn't have a voice? Anybody in the camp. You can talk to them and it's going to be silent as hell except for maybe one part. And that is the Battle of Fawn Castle in the not the historical, but rather the hypothetical. Yes. And that's the thing. You'll have to actually get that over in Shu's playthrough, and you'll have only one area out the entire game that has voiced dialogue or conversations in the camp. You want to know what was the most interesting thing about Dynasty Warriors 7? The voiced dialogue in the camp. It was rather hilarious to see the campy and downright hammy acting of Omega Force, and they really did try, and they got used to the characters by this game, so why omit the voice acting here? It just baffles my mind, just like wrong-sounding Zhang Liao. So with that said, let's move on. Aside from the slowdown in every version of Dynasty Warriors 8 and 8 Xtreme Legends, aside from the Switch, there have been a multitude of errors, including compatibility errors between the PlayStation versions. You'd think that by now, Koei would actually release a stable version of the game without any issues, right? Wrong! Because guess what? The newest version of Dynasty Warriors 8 Xtreme Legends Complete has a PS5 backwards compatibility issue. It's as if they haven't learned anything. Remember that I said that legendary weapons made their return? Well, seeing as how you can create better than the legendary weapons, they really aren't needed. On top of the fact that the DLC weapons are much better, and the legendary weapons take up a slot. One of 1,200. And no, I don't mean 1,200 per character, I mean 1,200 between the 82 characters. So while you're grinding and picking up weapons, there's just going to be one person that's going to be SOL with level 1 weapons because somebody else has a lot of them. And believe me, this has happened quite some time. In fact, look on your screen. And the worst part is, the game preceding this has better weapon allocation than this game. Wow. Just wow, Koei. Despite it being complete, Dynasty Warriors 8 Xtreme Legends has a whole bunch of DLC from Dynasty Warriors 8 and new DLC that was added. Sorry for that voice spike, but I have to voice my disgust. At least there's a good side to this. There's one version that avoids this. The Switch. And that's because Dynasty Warriors 8 Xtreme Legends for the Switch was released as an apology for Dynasty Warriors 9. Wow, Koei. Just wow. Having the ability to wield two weapons makes a return from Dynasty Warriors 7 and 7 Xtreme Legends. However, the weapon switch is now no longer a part of a combo. It is actually a counter that you can use to gain the upper hand on the enemy. Because after all, back in the day, the weapon switch was actually a combo to keep the string going. Now it's a combo whenever you're facing an enemy that just happened to have a weapon that is out of your element. You can switch to a weapon that's in your element. And what are the elements, by the way? Heaven, Earth, and Man. With Earth being stronger than Heaven, Heaven being stronger than Man, and Man stronger than Earth. That is going to be something you need to remember. Because those three elements is going to make or break the difficulty of this game. And God forbid that you run into anybody that happens to have something out of your element, and you happen to have weapons that are like the same element. You may have a more difficult time. However, there is an attribute that actually gives you a boost if you happen to have a weapon of the same element. All in all, it's how you're going to go about with your weapons is what pretty much makes the entirety of the battle system works. And on top of the fact that you have now 2 EX skills to work with, and enough movestyles to last you for the entirety of the game, hey, it will work just fine. And then there's attributes, by the way, that you can put onto your weapons from Ambition, ranging from Cyclone to even Jubilation, which, by the way, Jubilation increases your range. These attributes are helpful. Although you do start with a weapon with absolutely no attributes at all, eventually you'll get weapons with stronger and better attributes. So, unfortunately for you, you won't be having to grind the blacksmith until you actually get said attribute onto your weapon anymore. No, they actually start on your weapon, and you just gotta fuse and reforge the weapon to try to make the attribute stronger. The attribute will max out at 10, if I'm not mistaken, or 20. I think it's 20, yes. It'll max out at 20, and as a matter of fact, so do the titles will max out as 20 as well. So you have enough to help you. The thing of the matter is, you're gonna have to go through great lengths to get him. And it wouldn't be a game if it wasn't difficult. And for the love of God, this game is by far one of the most, if not the most difficult games in the series. And I am glad difficulty made a return, because in Dynasty Warriors Xtreme Legends 7, difficulty barely made a return. Because while it did have some modicum of difficulty, it ended up giving you very powerful DLC weapons, so difficulty still went out the damn window. But 8, oh no, you're gonna run into enemies that's gonna have high morale. You're gonna run into enemies that have buffs. You're gonna run into ballistas that'll shoot you half to death. You are going to run to the whole shebang. And I am actually glad that that difficulty has returned to this game, because, to be honest, 7 was way too easy. However, in the grand scheme of things, you just have to get used to certain characters, because they are going to be grapple characters as opposed to straight out strikers. And the character that I just have was in fact a grapple character as well as a straight out striker. because she practically wielded the weapon that Suma Yi wielded in Dynasty Warriors 6. So with that said, let's go on to the music. While 2 Musou is returning from Dynasty Warriors 7, 8 Extreme Legends up the ante and gives you 1 more. You have 1 on the ground and 2 in the air, and the only way you can access them is if you're at a certain level. Now then, there's also rages where it doesn't matter what level you're in, if you fill up that rage meter, pulling off EX moves or things of that nature, you are pretty much going to turn the tide in a battle. Now, in order for you to pull off the EXs, you're going to have to level up, but you'll have 2 EX moves to work with as of Dynasty Warriors 8 Extreme Legends Complete, as opposed to just 1. So at least they give you more variety of moves and more ways to clear out enemies, despite the harsh and brutal difficulty Dynasty Warriors 8 have to offer. You at least have some weapons to help you out, aside from the grinding. As an upgrade from the linear storytelling of Dynasty Warriors 7, at least now you have more than 1 character to choose from for the story. You can pick whichever character you want that are available, that are key central points to the story. And how you approach this would be whether or not you'll be able to get the star requirement. But you'll still be able to get them with all of them. It's just going to be harder with some than it is with others. Unlike Dynasty Warriors 7 Original, which was a linear path, Dynasty Warriors 8 and 8 Extreme Legends has what is called star requirements. Now, you don't have to complete those, you just go straight to the historical route. But if you complete a star requirement or 2, you'll have people popping in who normally would not be able to do so. You'll have people that will actually make things a lot easier for you, and more importantly, certain added dialogue changes in the cutscenes. You'll also go to branching pathways and branching missions. Now, bear in mind I've already done most of this in the Xbox 360 version, but I got the PlayStation 4 version because it did not have Lu Bu. Lu Bu is the only one that does not have DLC content. You just either beat up the historical or manage to get all the star requirements and get the hypothetical. You will not be without anything to do, because this game has a lot of missions, and by God, it has a lot of modes in order for you to continue playing. And making its return from Dynasty Warriors 7 Extreme Legends, because 7 didn't have this, is free mode. So that way you can play all of the stages with all of the characters whenever you want, provided you unlock them first. More importantly, you will be able to play some of the DLC stages that will appear here in free mode as well. You're not gonna be without any thing to do, because in Extreme Legends Complete there's going to be battle objectives, and in all honesty the battle objectives is going to be something you're going to be shooting for. But more importantly, there's even a challenge mode where you could go through speedrun, arena, inferno, rampage, and bridge melee, all of which are exactly how they sound, with inferno being the one where you are going to have unlimited rage mode, speedrun where you speedrun things, bridge melee where you knock off as many people as you can in a bridge, rampage, that's just the original, and arena is where you're beating up people, or beating up a number of enemies. So yes, you're not going to be without anything to do. You've got enough characters to play as, and they'll be evenly leveled for this event. I gotta say, the soundtrack for Dynasty Warriors 8 and 8 Extreme Legends is really good. It's not like the best, like 4, 5, 6, and especially 7, but it can hold its own on its own right. All the set pieces, all the dramatical placements, Lu Bu's Musou theme. Oh god, that is actually pretty good. I gotta say, Lu Bu's entire Musou themes are really good. but it still doesn't hold a candle to 7. 7's got the best soundtrack, but at least, you don't have to rely on DLC or updates just to get a good soundtrack going along. Dynasty Warriors 9 and 9 Empires are looking dead at you. So with that said, we're going to go on ahead and go to the rating. Without further ado, here is the rating for this game. Dynasty Warriors 8 and 8 Xtreme Legends Complete gets a great, despite all the problems that it has. I'm going to tell you right now, the Switch version's the best of the bunch, and it does not have most of the problems that the Xbox 360 version does. More importantly, you could still pick the game up and play regardless of the version. Yeah, you're going to run into some problems, but at least it's solid, it's fun, it has replayability. You'll be able to go through all the missions with all the characters thanks to the fact that there's a free mode available, and more importantly, while yes, you will be spending most of your time in ambition mode, at least you could see if you're strong enough to take on any missions in free mode. So there you go. You could always use free mode if ambition mode is too much, but unfortunately ambition mode's the best way to go. But nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, finally, after all these years, I finally done this review. And needless to say, the remaining games in the Dynasty Warriors series will be a lot easier to review than this one. That is for damn sure. So with that said, this is RVman985. Thank you for watching. Take care.